at resistance base, but we are seeing them be infiltrated a lot sooner than what they'd maybe been expecting. At the same time, though, so many of these players, they always tend to develop strategies for when these uncon turn into con situations.
Always be ready for what can happen. Reason Savage chat thought they were going to get a solid game, but ended up falling quite early in the previous match. And like we've mentioned previously, even though Vanya gets knocked here, it's not too much of an issue. He's not going to get pushed. Ooh.
Prodoxy and Pablo are on the move. Prodoxy was tagging somebody up pretty heavily with those kill switch revolvers. And now it seems clear that they wanted to get a little bit more damage application, and it's because of the reboot. Flixie, they departed Brutal Boxcars just long enough to let Flixie play through the reboot so they could one more time just forcibly shut down Veno, Vico while they're still injured.
That's crazy. As they continue now to apply that pressure. Getting up close and personal, shots coming from multiple angles. Burning through Mats as Flixie takes a big shot, getting knocked down. Gino, Pablo, Fred now getting extra aggressive. Veno falls shortly after, and it's all up to Vico in a 1v3.
It is a tough break here for Vico. Yeah, this is not the loadout you want to see. And at this point, it's only a matter of time before they eventually tear apart the train station enough to expose where Vico is at. But a player like Veno, you know he's going to be out for revenge against Prodoxy's team. This will pay a price potentially in the future. But for right now, it's all Pablo, Prodoxy, and China laughing their way. 3 brutal boxcars. That is a huge win. And to shut down Veno's trio so early on in this lobby, that's
Freut ihr euch schon fürs Live-Event-Chat? Schreibt mal 1 in den Chat, wenn ihr euch freut. Ich freue mich schon heute auf das Live-Event. Lasst gerne ein Like da auf den Stream und abonniert kostenlos meinen Kanal.
And wanting to see some of them qualify to the stage. But for Karama, Werix, and Akira, they are a team that's just looking to take whatever measures necessary to keep setting themselves at just one placement further. And they've got what it takes, that's for sure. And a lot of teams, a lot of fan favorites would love to see some French natives go through.
They really would. They're kind of head-to-head with Sato on the leaderboard in 9th and 10th, so hopefully one of them can make something happen here. So we look at the top 5. Tayson, Chicho Harris in a beyond comfortable position.
Just looking back, controlling the rotates of the teams behind them. Chicho and Tayson, though, they've got their work cut out for them. They're still gonna have to play for the reboot eventually. Interesting, though, to see the developments taking place for Forstroki and Kiroi and Bevies. We've seen them in the previous lobbies, kind of looking to be more of that third-party intervention factor, but now dealing with Perhawa, Maciak, and Kaisers, when you're trailing teams along these soft edges of the zone, Takada, you've always got to be wary of them just boistering up on these sides of the mountain faces and holding you too.
You really do. That's Forstroki and Kiroi. Connecting shots where they can, but going to continue with the rotate now. We'll take a look at what is going on with Wheezy Swizzy Merstash from the quick finish at the start. Now playing once again their safe rotate to zone, but maybe potential few tags. A little bit of extra damage, but no, so far it's a pretty safe route.
Whole lot of trigger discipline there too from Swizzy. He contemplated it, and he might have even been able to connect onto those teams that were gliding in, but they trust in Queasy to not lead them astray. And the rotate is now underway. This is a very deep dead side rotation, though, from Queasy, Swizzy, and Merstash. They've got to be feeling really confident about their surge threshold after that off-spawn battle.
Another trio feeling confident. Giras, Krennic, Dinas kind of in a pretty safe position, to be fair. Right north of their drop spot, Canyon Crossing. Levin was talking about it. When they pull zone, they're extra comfortable, and it looks like they might be able to do it once again. You can see the amount of med kits that are stacked up, the amount of extra loot. Because now it's just a waiting game.
Not only that, but it's also nice knowing that you have those launch pads just in case you don't feel as if you'll be able to get to where you want to be as fast as you could be. But Seti, Yepko, that last lobby was their first stumble, and without Panzer, that's definitely going to be a pretty big delay in terms of how they're setting up for their mid and end game. They've got to basically just go on a recovery tour here, and they've got to try and elude the rest of the lobby that's taking notes of this team that's diving back into the storm. They're fully aware of the fact that these guys are clearly trying to make a play for Ryu, man. Let's try and get whatever surge tags we can.
How much will they commit to it, though, is the big question. As we look back over to Trexer. Had a nice kind of finish to the last game, staying up. Now with his full trio, though, hopefully they can get a bit further. Playing edge of zone now, should have opportunities from players rotating on in.
Just overhead, though, you've got to make sure that you're keeping all of your angles covered. Something that Cheatin is definitely wary of. Trying to prevent himself from taking any kind of tag damage from these awkward side angles. So many different teams starting to really build up and surround around them, but Prodoxy, Pablo, Gino, still hanging out by Foxy Floodgate. And they've got some impressive loadouts to work with here, Takada.
That they do, and they've had it time and time again. It's the Oncon Supernova Academy. They've really got more than enough loot each game, and not only that, eliminations alongside it. They're incredibly efficient with their off-spawn, instantly go for the pump power aggression or, you know, any kind of surrounding area, and they've been incredibly successful with it so far. As Vanya, Pixie, and Marius as well, slowly climbing themselves up the leaderboard, despite having little rough end games of players always going down, kind of seem to be clutching it as duos, solos. So hopefully one of these matches we can have a full trio looking strong. This could be the one.
A little friendly tag there from Marius onto Savage. Although it might have actually done Savage's team a favor, gave them a heads up that there is another team potentially looking their direction. It's going to cause them to come to a little bit of a slowdown procedure. They're still trying to play for that wraparound, trying to avoid as much attention as possible, but same can't be said for Mappy, Trexer, and Cheetah, and they are in the heart of battle right now up against Snazy, Ice, and Clement. And this fight could definitely dictate how these endgames are going to pan out for both of these teams. Trexer and Mappy, they definitely need this refresh. Snazy also looking to get things started on the right foot, but Snazy instead doesn't know which way to turn, just getting pressured from two different sides, and that's going to be the first collapse here, as now Trexer trying to see if he can fight his way out of the box, but Clement picking up the pieces. Clement, 2 eliminations already. He just needs to find this last one onto Mappy. He's got the HP advantage and everything else working in his favor, but Mappy has done just enough to delay it, and Cheatin' might not have enough HP to actually withstand this. He will have to fall back and wait for some assistance out of Mappy. But Clement, even with the HP advantage, you're still 1 versus 2 scenario. And I'm sure he wants to try and play for a reboot. Oh my gosh, it's falling apart though for Savage.
Talk about an elimination. Panzer taking out Savage and his whole trio. What a way to go down. This is not the part of the match you want to get eliminated in, and to the hands of Panzer, Yapko, and Seti. This is going to be a tough one.
But Chop's not finished here. Panzer, Yapko, they've got to now tackle Chicho. They've already managed to take care of Tayson, and just like that, knocked over like dominoes. Chicho really expected a little bit more bite back there, but Yapko and Panzer confidently handling themselves. And those are big clutch instances. That's sure to light a fire when they reboot Seti for them to pull through strong in this lobby.
Yeah, making it look like an arena match for a second there, with how quickly they closed out that fight, not only once, but twice, against 2 of the most solid trios of the lobby. Being able to reboot Seti, they're going to be looking for a big match here. All they got to do is focus on the rotate, get into zone now. They have more than enough of everything else. Axe Force, CZB Nathan looking to hold on to their spot on the standings as well. 303 above. Congested side, though. There's a lot of trios surrounding them.
And CZB already being focused out by the teams that are just positioned on these hillsides. They do have a lot of material, though, Takata, so they can definitely afford to continue wrapping around. It's just how much do you really want to be forcibly burned out of your builds? So that will be a misform just to cut across some open space here. But CZV getting caught out, just trailing a little bit too far behind the rest of his team. He was nearly taken down. Curious if he's actually going to be able to outlast the pressure that was being applied there from that rear flank, but Yapko, Panzer, Seti, they're all back up and running. And Kurama, if he's not careful, he might find himself in the crossfire there out of Yapko and Panzer. Seti definitely looking for some form of a refresh. He would love to get everything restored because they need more damage. They're just sitting above the threshold right now, Takata, and Seti will reunite with his team. Just too many teams rolling up into the vicinity, preventing them from closing in.
This could be huge, though. A sandwich opportunity between Akira. Right down the middle, it's Hizix, Howley, Dandy. They're caught in the pressure. Each side applying shot after shot. Seti, Yapko, Panzer has now put themselves 277 above from those shots. Connecting Akira is going to be the one that secured that elimination, though. And now, from seeing that the zone is a little far, they're going to choose to most likely take the rotate here instead of finish off the eliminations.
Hizix managed to crawl pretty far away from where all of this fighting is taking place. And Kurama and Akira thought for a moment they might be able to help him out, but no, he was definitely taken down and spotted out. Yapko, Panzer just continuing to try and stay ahead of where Howley and Go are at, but they're running smack dab into the center of Cantry and Pradaj. And this might be a chance now for Marias, Pixie, and Vanya to maybe take out one of our leading contenders, but first, they want to finish off by Frozy.
Oh my gosh.
Just gets trapped inside of Marias' box. Nowhere left for him to run. Maria's going to toss that one through. 2 bodies collected, and Marias with these 3 just diving up and under and over the wall to get these tags in. It's doing so much damage, but he's got to be real careful that he doesn't get picked off along the way.
That Superman Sprite doing its job, applying that pressure as Vanya Pixie Mary is still up as a trio. This is exactly what they needed last time they fell during the high ground retake. We'll see if that ends up happening once again. A quick replay to who was actually applying the pressure with the Superman Sprite. It was Seti, Yapko, Panzer. They needed that damage though, and after getting the knock, they didn't full commit to the elimination, but they got what they came for.
Seti needs a refresh though. That material count was way too low. He didn't really have any healing resources either. And his loadout, Hadi, Cammy, eye drop, also potentially caught out with very little material to work with. There's just so much open space for teams to roam. If you don't have mobility at this current stage, Takada, and if you don't have the surge damage, you are just going to get lobbied, and that is all that Hardy, Cammy, and Eyedrop are doing right now. Jewel and Ghost, current victims of the pressure being applied right now. Hyper also being cleaned up, and what's crazier still, these eliminations not even going to Cammy's team, by the way. Kido being largely the one credited, and that's another issue too. You never know when your knock is just going to be picked up by somebody else entirely.
It's part of the game though, as Merstash, Swizzy, Queasy continue on through. Mist form getting used, good amount of damage, good amount of loot, heals, mats, everything they possibly need. They just cannot get caught off guard here, cannot get lobby focused, but with one of the best IGLs in the world leading them, hopefully they should be able to find a clean way in. Pradaj gonna be the team and the top of the mountain as Queasy, Merstash, and Swizzy use another Mist form to get closer.
And they're so blocked though. The pre-existing build is just doing them a solid here, keeping them out of the line of sight from Pradaj and Country. I did see Fincheck though, a little bit closer to where Queasy was at, so that could get dangerous at a moment's notice, but Pradaj is continuing to try and extend their presence on this hill face. All members of this trio currently looking different directions for more damage.
Country is doing a great job here, not going to where the zone's pulling yet, but instead trying to block off all the trios that could potentially rotate through that top side to give them a free rotate here onto zone. As now Seti's second height kind of looking around, seeing the potential options, but with the pressure getting applied by Pradaj and Co, they might be running low as Fincheck getting ahead quickly, and it looks like they might just be able to hold on. The issue is they're gonna need a refresh and they need more damage.
And the other problem too is that they're not even fully entirely on the front side just yet. They still have to deal with Queasy Merstash directly underneath. Cammy, Hadi, also under heavy fire, but the secondary height layer, that's what Sweezy, Merstash, and Queasy were really after. It might be a little bit cut off here though. Yapko, Panzer, Seti also holding on to the secondary height position, but they've prevented Queasy from being able to continue tunneling forward. Queasy knows this is a bit of a risky play here. They might even opt to just go for a full-on layer switch. They could just even try for the ultimate high re-tackle, but that zone pulled back for a moment here, and Queasy gonna send it forward off the misform. Country, Fincheck, Pradaj, they invested so much for height, and they've managed to maintain it for the time being. Panzer has been a victim, though, of this secondary height madness, but it's really Fradoxy, Pablo, and Chino who are out here to shine.
Panzer is getting knocked down as well. I saw some wood builds up above. They're going to be putting themselves into pressure shortly if they aren't able to find a refresh. Seti in a duo with Yapko after losing Panzer. Now they're forced to move forwards as a duo. They're able to get ahead of zone, but with wood builds, the triple spray might lead to their demise as Merstash, Queasy, and Swizzy have not looked for height yet. They're running low on mats. They're going to get aggressive. Pre-edits come through. Shots connect. Akira gets knocked down. That's a quick refresh for our dominant trio.
That was everything just for that moment's notice, but they still have to deal with Pradaj, Country, and Fincheck up above. Not only that, but Marius, Pixie, Vanya. This could be a devastating blow to any team that happens to run the wrong direction, get caught out by these guys. Pink has been smothered in the low ground. Seti and Yapko are still somehow making this work, but Seti will unfortunately meet his demise. Queasy just waiting at that front side low. Marius, Vanya, they're taking out Bevies. That little bit of Siphon could be the difference here. But Vanya, he still has a few charges left in this mistform. He's gonna try to get ahead, try to steal some of this other team's med miss grenade, and then crank upwards. It's all about overcoming the real challenge of height, just getting to height in the first place. Queasy building for his life, cranking for his life. But has he done enough to separate the hero rank up? Could buy him a little bit of time, but his HP was just too low. He finally gets cleaned up. The dodge forced to dash back. Memphis grenade, but he has 0 builds. They invested too much for height, and they couldn't hold it.
Chino for Doxy looking like they want to take it here. Pushing for a buff as players are falling like flies. Elimination after elimination for Doxy. Chino and Pablo looking like they have the potential to close this match out. Pradodge goes down. Walls being taken. Chino with a double-headed connect onto Marius. And with that, they just took home not only a victory royale, but the one with the most eliminations that we've seen yet. I just saw from the side of my eye, 885. I don't even know the total elimination count, but pure domination is what we just witnessed.
A little bit of a trendsetter there for Fredoxy. Those early rotates paying off so much. By the time we made it to this late game transition, everybody was so focused on what was taking place in the high ground. Queasy, Pradodge, all the while, Fredoxy's team just slipping through the cracks, cleaning house in those low and mid ground layers. And it's just impressive still because they're having to scale their way up the mountain in the process, Takata. But whole team having triple misform makes a big difference.
They've done an amazing job to consistently make it to that top 10, but they've been missing that big match, that massive amount of points to push them up the standings, but they've finally done it. They now have gotten the highest elimination match of the day, and I'm excited to see where that puts them on the leaderboard, so let's head to the desk to break that down.
That was a high-risk, high-reward game, and that is what we expect from Prodoxy 11. Finally, a victory royale for the Danes.
Finally, man, we were waiting for a game like this, and we knew they could be the ones to deliver it. And I mean, the audacity, the nerve, the goal to even come into the FNCS Major Finals and just pop off like you're playing an eval or something. These guys are on a different level. It's not been the greatest of days for them, but a game like that will surely kick off the spark.
Yeah, hopefully now that'll allow them to kick on and they can just continue this sort of momentum, because this is exactly what we sort of expected from this trio going into this weekend. The way that they played those mid-ground layers was so good. So many eliminations as well, very reminiscent of what we saw last major as well. And taking height, that late on, that late push for it is exactly how this trio like to play. And now this is going to be huge for them, as Takata mentioned, so many eliminations there for this trio. So I'm really expecting big things now. Hopefully that does wonders for their confidence.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, for a lot of this year, right, when we've talked about firepower in EU, the trio everybody looks at is Vico, Veno, Flixi. These guys came through and they snatched their chain. Just mad disrespect. They said, we are that trio. We are the team that's going to get you the 20 bombs in finals lobbies. Not just any lobbies, in major finals lobbies. What a game. Look, it doesn't even matter if you're not having a good day, because you have a game like that, and I've not seen the leaderboard yet, but I know they're going to be up there. I know they're going to be visible on it after that game. So, again, this is why, you know, when you have talent like this, you just got to let them cook sometimes. Pablo, Chino, Fredoxy, all of them, things clicking. You love to see it.
I'm just absolutely mesmerized by all of these endgame eliminations. They're getting on top of the ones they already scored in the mid-game. This is what we want to see from Prodoxy's trio, so hopefully more of it after these few moments. mentioned moments as we went into the break there, and we have got game 6 to make some more before we head into day 2. Let's talk though about game 5 first. Marius, Pixie and Vanya, they knew they needed to up their game in order to challenge for the #1 spot. And while they didn't get loads of eliminations, we did get to see them make it to 2nd place, Miniminer.
Yeah, mature performance from these guys so far. You know, they haven't necessarily had their best day 11. I don't think they would, I'm sure they would be the first to admit that. But what they've been able to do is consistently make these end games. They haven't been too aggressive with eliminations. They haven't been trying to force any refreshes, any of those sort of late game lunges, if you like. But what they have been able to do, very, very consistent. Marius there clutching up a little bit to get themselves a 2nd place and keeps them in 3rd place.
Oh my goodness. Look at that, man. Look at that. Straight into 2nd place. Bob. Easy.
That's what's going to happen, though, when you get 21 eliminations. Frodoxy's trio there, Levin's referring to going from 6th to 2nd in the blink of an eye, Levin.
That is the highest elimination win we have seen a team get, not just this year, but joint ever in trios. That is just crazy. And not just in EU, across all regions, in trios, a 21 elimination game is the joint highest. The last time we saw a team get 21 eliminations in a trio FNCS major final was literally Season X in Chapter 1.
Has Frodoxy been watching some Peterbot demos, maybe? Miniminer?
Hey, man.
Maybe. 22 next game is all I want to say. You know, let's try and smash that record. I don't want any of this joint activity, but no, it's a great performance from them, and I want to see more from them now leading into tomorrow as well as the last game.
Well, I wonder if Seti, Harry and iDrop are going to be feeling threatened at the top of the leaderboard now, because Frodoxy is on their tail, but they're still managing to remain consistent, Levin.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, going into this last game, they sit in a great spot. You know, it's funny because I know there's a lot of pros who have their superstitions, like, I don't want to be in 1st after day 1, you know, stuff like that, right? But ultimately, these guys should be so chuffed with how they perform because, you know, many people didn't expect this. Whether or not they can hold on as the lobby adjusts, right? They've had, you know, their fair share of rough moments throughout the day, Mini. And so, you know, things aren't clear as day, right? We've just seen from how Chino performed. We've seen from how Vanya and Queasy's trios have been able to stay in it. You know, these good teams come tomorrow, they will find form and they will find their stride. Seti's trio is still a big test for them. They need to keep moving like this.
Yeah, well, for, I mean, Panzer in particular as well, Yapko, this is probably the first sort of time they're going to be in this sort of situation going into day #2. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that trio develops now. Of course, Seti's been in these situations many times in the past, so it's going to be definitely on him to make sure they stay level-headed, go into this last game with a sort of fresh mind, and into tomorrow as well with the exact same frame of mind. Couple of wobble games now, that's an 11th and then a 9th, so not an ideal performance, but they're staying in it. They're not absolutely crashing and burning, which is really important.
It'll be interesting to see where Queasy's trio goes from here. They're pretty consistent on that leaderboard, sitting in the 4th position. This feels very similar to Major 2 for me now, Levin. I'm just wondering, are they going to be able to step it up again?
It's funny you say that, Frankie, because in Major 2, after day 1, they were in 4th position, right? So you'd be spot on. It feels like that because it is like that. The question will be, unlike Major 2, will they be able to rise on day 2 and become a team that is going to fight till the end to win it? I'd like to hope so, but the question mark around your spawn situation, they've been fine off spawn. They've been rolling through Malabuka's trio. But does that change tomorrow? Are things going to be the same? If Malabuka's team wakes up and decides, actually, no, we shouldn't troll the rest of the day, we should actually just leave, are they going to be ready for uncontested? Will they have prepared, like Queasy himself had said on social media? Still a bunch of question marks, I think, around this team, Mini.
Yeah, I think does that change now going into this 6th game? Will Malabuka try something now to lead into tomorrow? And then, of course, that leaves Queasy's team with a bit of a problem with the lack of surge they're getting off spawn. I'm sure they have the answers to it, but it's definitely going to change for them. And I think in terms of all those teams at the top, that's the situation that's most likely to change going into tomorrow.
Well, we've got 7 more games before we find out who will be wielding the Blade of Champions. And this game really does set the agenda for tomorrow. Some of those trios in the top 10, they have nothing to lose. They just want to play for the win. They're already qualified for Leon. That makes them extremely dangerous. Let's see what damage they do in Game 6.
the same time, Frankie, all those teams that are looking to try and take over, lock in those last final seats for the Global Championship Battle Bus, it does start here right now, closing things out with a solid finish in Game 6, Takata.
Yeah, I mean, Frankie was talking about the trios outside top 10. We saw what's possible in a single match. 21 eliminations, 8-8-5, either way. Look, it's possible. That's the main thing. We're in the finals, Taco. The skill level here is at an all-time high on the European region. And now going into the last match of the day, 6 more to be played out tomorrow. I'm excited to see how we close things out. Will Demon's Domain still be contested? What changes are we gonna see from the trios that have not met expectations? But we don't have to wait long because the battle bus is ready, so let's get right into it.
It's the final match for game day 1 of the Major 3 Grand Finals. And at Takata, there has certainly been a competitive standard set across the board. I mean, even looking at how tightly knit our top 3 is currently shaping up. And this is just day 1, but the message has been sent. And Queasy's Domain stands tall. Can't fault Malabuka in the slightest. You give it a swing, it's a miss. Unfortunately, they're gonna have to opt to a different strat, but at least for Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache, they are very happy to finally have a chance to see what Demon's Domain looks like uncon. But again, that early search, like you alluded to, Scott, that could be a real problem for them.
Yeah, what's the game plan now? I guess we'll see. They're split up, if I'm not mistaken. So they're doing a bit of a split drop here. Are they gonna push into it? Are they gonna... Yeah, this is bringing up a lot of questions for me.
Going to the outskirts, the spiral shoots is definitely a choice. This is, for sure, a competitive strategy that Malabuka might be trying to chef up with his team, but for Wax and Ping, whether or not it was them having the intentions of outright contesting Demons, or maybe they're trying to catch Queasy, Swizzy, Mustache, somebody off guard whenever they try to venture towards that southern section. But right here, right now, Takata, it does seem like some of these early off-spawn battles have just fizzled out. Teams opting to just play for a more neutral territory, not wanting to take their chances with losing and winding up with pretty much no points after day 1.
Yeah, Sato had a very strong start alongside his team, but after some off-spawn, I don't know if I'd call them misplays or just things not quite going their way, they have kind of dropped down quite a bit, but whole other day to come back from it. Ping walks Malabuka now, quick to get themselves into a fight.
Oh, and Snazy on the receiving end of it at that. Ping, big opening shots there. That's a nice elimination and a pretty strong start, but they're gonna need to find a few more of those types of eliminations, Takata, if they really want to convert this, because remember, being Wax Malabuka, they've practically sat out every single lobby here today. It's always going to be very tough to scale back up and make up for the lost time, but it's something that some veterans could definitely rise to the challenge for.
100%. I'm excited to see how it plays out. Cammy, Hari, iDrop. There's another trio that were looking incredibly strong off the start. And I wouldn't say they're, falling off completely. They're still in a solid spot, but you know that this team wants more than just a qual spot at the Global Championships. They want to take home the trophy here for Major 3. So currently sitting in 8th place. The job is not even close to finished.
Physics and Dendapuzo. Howley, a little bit caught up here, but they are able to come out on top. It's only at the expense of Physics, but a double revive. Close that one out, no problem. Lixium's team, unfortunately, just getting a little bit of a taste of what a set finals lobby experience is like. And Yapko, not the only one. Pablo, Ferdoxy, Chino, they've struck yet again. They're sick of playing through the surge-based methods. These early rotates have been gnarly for the other teams.
That's a big elimination, though, taking out your competition, quite literally. The trio that's currently in the #1 spot. One of the players now has been taken down by the second place trio. Coming from that win, they are on fire, and Panzer is doing what he can to stay hidden.
Oh no, Panzer is so trapped inside of that bush. He's gonna lose so much time in this final lobby, Takada. And we don't even know where Seti is at just yet either. Like, it's only Panzer trying to stay hidden. Maybe Seti can look for a lone play of a reboot, but Panzer's got to hope that the distraction is steeper. Nebs, Kyoto, Pink, they also want to maintain themselves in the conversation for that leaderboard consistency and finding that early elimination. Nice look to start the game off.
Yeah, not too bad, but just the start for Pink, Kiro, and Nebs. Marius, on the other hand, making use of their efficient kind of early game strategy, per se, where some of them will be doing the surge damage, others will be looting, others will be getting extra heals, mats, whatever it could be, to maximize that efficiency. But Reason has to be careful. He's lost Mr. Savage. Wheat looking to close it out now as they push up to Reason. No shield to work with. 5 bullets in the shotgun. 5 wooden builds left. For Reason to clutch this one up, he's gonna need to hit the shots of his life.
Oh, cut short on that attempt, but it's a solid effort. Just not quite able to make the recovery that they were amping for, but Panzer and Seti, they've managed to somehow escape the clutches of Proxy's team. And Sinet, Nafrizi, Wheat, if they're not careful, it's not like Nafrizi is the healthiest player by any means here, Takada. This could definitely be turned against them. But for Wheat, you just see, we'll look back now on how Savage exactly went down and the rest of his team. They were just a little bit too extended. Sinet and Nafrizi did a really good job at approaching from separate angles, and Wheat just hoping to really seal the deal.
Yeah, they took the time now that they were able to heal back up, so only hope here is that they walk through this bush and are able to pick up a quick knock, and Wheat might be the victim, but quickly enough the regroup comes through. But I see a potential here. Hiding in the bush, it's a matter of time.
They want to make sure that the players are split enough from each other that this is going to be a freebie, and Wheat just barely managing to cut across. He's still standing somehow, some way. And now Sinet, Nafrizi immediately called to action. They're going to be sure to pack up their boy however necessary. And Panzer, Seti, it was a valiant effort there, Takada. But that one just runs dry, and they're going to have to just look elsewhere. They're going to have to fall back and get away from where Wheat and them are at.
A quick side note, I saw on the feed for Doxy, not only did they take out Yapko at the start, but I just saw them take out Pixie as well. The #1 and #3 trio going on the receiving end from what's looking like a potentially incredibly strong trio. But actually, now that I think about it, it might have just been a trade from the base. But either way, looking quite strong.
Oh, same can't be said though for Akira. Nice pickup though from Nebs. And now Kiro, Pink, still playing on these outskirt positions, north side of the map. They might be able to track down Werex. Instead, kind of recognizing that they do want to start getting a move on with their rotates. Seti and Panzer though revisiting Lone Wolf Lair. Caught up one more time with Ferdoxy, Pablo, and Chino. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, Panzer? He's now trying to see if he can escape the fray. Pablo inside of the building, though, looking to try and cut Panzer off. Approaching from that flank. Dash just a little bit too far forward. Seti retreating back inside of Lone Wolf Lair, playing on the opposite end of it. And Panzer has been eliminated, so it's all down exclusively to Seti. And this is exactly what Chino, Pablo, and Ferdoxy were after. They're looking to take matters into their own hands, control their own narrative. They missed out last major, and they're not looking for that to be a repeat in this one, Takata. Because when your first place competition is down and out for the count, and the next team after you is at 288 points compared to your 341, this could be a crazy runaway moment there for Doxy's team. But Axe Force, CZB, Nathan, they're still caught in the midst of an awkward battle.
Looks like it's calmed down for a moment. Axe Force now gonna pop that miss for him. CZB gonna follow shortly behind them. Disengage will come through. Eliminations from both ends of the pact here. And Robin said, okay, I'll let you go, but not without taking a bit of damage. As now closing the gap, looking for what I would say were angles, but with the amount of aggression coming from Robin, I think he wants more than just a couple tags here as the pursuit is on.
It's just a classic 2 versus 2. Who can outlast the other? But Axe Force prepared to fight. Definitely knows what's coming. CZB, a little bit too split. Trying to make sure that he doesn't get trapped between the two. Robin. That's going to be the Memphis grenade. And now it's down to Kylie. See if he can apply a little bit of pressure from a separate line of sight. But Axe Force, CZB, they're playing hip to hip. They're not looking to take any chances here. They're deep inside of the storm. They know if they win this exchange, they'll be able to make a play for the reboot. And Axe Force whiffs the shot. The pump not going to connect. He'll be forced to misform away. And Robin, Kylie still looking to give chase. But now it's CZB who might be a little bit too exposed. He's scrambling, looking to get away from Kylie and Robin as quickly as possible. But Robin just relentless. And CZB, Axe Force, their last Memphis grenade has just been used. Kylie and Robin are out for a vengeance here, though. And Kylie, he's nearly connected every single time here, but instead turned one more time into CZB's favor. Robin has fallen, and now CZB could potentially come up clutch. Instead, it's Kylie who's taken the Bears completely back into his team's favor. Axe Force will finally close this one out. And Kylie still lingering. Doesn't want to let Axe Force get this revive going, but Skvi, Trulex, and Teeny, they're going to be the real victors of this exchange right now, Takata.
Or are they? As they choose to take the rotate instead of fight. As Trulex continuing to go on ahead.
The rotate, though.
It's going to be a while from now, though, with the amount of distance that they have to make. Axe Force seems to have picked up CZB. At least they know now that no more third party is close by, with a big shot from Kylie. Has that 1v2 disadvantage, but with the shots being connected, could turn around. The issue is Kylie's just giving them so much time to heal up, pop the chugs. Uh-oh. Potential angle from CZB. Now denied, as Kylie is going to ultimately get taken out. No more materials to work with. Axe Force, CZB finish up the fight and now make their way to zone once again.
Kylie and Robin, they were just looking to try and claw their way back into some solid leaderboard contention for ending the day. That's why you go for these off-spawn battles and whatnot, but really well played here. I don't think that Chino and Pablo have any intentions of slowing down for their elimination counts. 21 in the last lobby as a team, and with 5 already, Takata, in this 6th game. It is kind of insane to think about what kind of precedent they might be setting here.
The pressure is on. The good news is all these teams have another full day of 6 matches, so despite a potential poor finish here in day 1, they have a whole other day to get that comeback. For Chicho, Tace, and Haris, though, not as much to worry about in 5th place, but already being qualified to the Global Championship. What they want is a 1st place finish here. Queasy, Swizzy, Merstash, due to the zones, do have the luxury of being able to just kind of base up on their drop spot at Demon's Domain.
But the tags just kind of poking into their sides. Certainly going to be annoying to deal with. still, they have a pretty big advantage right now, just based off the way that the zones have been pulling. They haven't really had to venture too far away from Demon's Domain, but that could also be working against them, Takada, because they haven't really had the opportunity to kind of push outwards and try to see if they can apply a little bit of surge damage onto the teams surrounding the outside of Demon's Domain, basically. So I am very interested to see what their surge actually ends up looking like, because we know it's going to be a problem for some of these teams.
100%. Rico Venoflixi, they have been running into trouble at the start of these end games. Kind of forced into shambles without enough damage, forcing a lot of mats to be used, and just not really having everything they need to close out a big game.
At the end of the day, though, it's still Veno, and as long as Veno is around, there is always going to be some kind of mastermind strategy that comes into play, whether it happens in this final lobby today, Takada, or it's something that we witness come day 2. I could just never count that trio out for anything, no matter what the initial performance might appear to seem like. Hottie, Cammy, iDrop, though, you have to kind of look at it as almost like a double whammy there for Cammy. You're seeing the huge successes of SETI. It's almost like that additional pressure being applied, because you know that the public perception is going to be which of these two got the better end of the deal. And right now, it's coming up so clearly, SETI, that it's just got to linger on the back of your mind. But Cammy's such an experienced competitor too. I'm sure it's pressure that he knows how to handle.
100%. And that will be shown in day 2 as Cantry, Pradaj, and Fincheck. We've seen them a lot, but they've yet to kind of make a name for themselves on the top end of the leaderboard here. As if they run into Fredoxy, Polo, and Chino now, maybe once again he'll get shut down. The amount of aggression coming from this team, 2,100 surge above.
It's less about running into Pablo and more